Hey guys, it's me Seren, back with another video. Today is going to be another episode of Hidden Figures because it is Wednesday, so hopefully you guys are ready for this week's Hidden Figures video. Today's hidden figure is Rosemary R. Cloud. She was the first African-American female fire chief in the country, and she recently retired. She retired in, I want to say, 2015 after 3 decades of serving as one of the first and one of the few African-American women fire chiefs. She worked in Atlanta. So I'm going to read you guys a little bit about her, and what I read you is going to include some quotes. So she has some really interesting things to say, and this woman is like truly a hidden figure. She doesn't even have like a Wikipedia page or anything like that. So I'm not sure like when she was born or anything along those lines, but I do know that she's in her late 50s, early 60s. So I'm going to just go ahead and start reading you guys a little bit about her. When Rosemary R. Cloud walked into her first day at the Atlanta Department of Fire Rescue's Training Center as a new recruit in 1980, she was wearing a pantsuit and high heels. As her fellow recruits began their hands-on training in the dirty and dangerous business of fighting fires, her first question was, "Where do I put my purse?" It wasn't a question that had been asked before. Cloud was one of the first women, as well as one of the first Black people, to join the fire department after it agreed to hire more African-American applicants as part of a settlement of a federal lawsuit. Years later, the story of her first day became part of the good-natured ribbing that's part of firehouse camaraderie. She began her ascent through the ranks, rising to assistant chief in the Atlanta department before she was hired as fire chief in East Point. She is the first African-American woman to be a fire chief in the United States. She's been a firefighter, and this is before she retired, clearly. She was a firefighter and administrator for 28 years, but she never planned on it as a career. In the 1970s, while she was a paralegal for Atlanta Legal Aid Society downtown, she watched Lowe's Grand Theater burn instead of the firefighters. That's great that they're out there helping people. 2 years later, after the settlement of the lawsuit, she joined the fire department. "They say I'm a pioneer," she said. "I guess that explains why I have so many knots on my head. But nobody gets where they are on their own. I stood on many shoulders to make this possible." Not only was she among the first significant groups of African Americans in the department, she was one of very few women. When she began her firefighter training, Cloud said, she felt as if African Americans and women were not introduced in a way that made the transition smooth. Like gardening, she said, you have to treat the soil first. Now, as a fire chief, she endeavors to prepare the environment for new people and ideas. A fire chief can make vision and ideas happen, she noted, and she has set up classes with her current staff. This is obviously, again, prior to her retiring, and these classes actually are still going on. These classes that she set up as fire chief, they've kind of become part of the standard curriculum and training if you want to be a firefighter. She has set up classes with her current staff to provide diversity, gender, and generational training, and she believes in stating clearly what is and is not sexual harassment or improper behavior, as well as what is negotiable and what is not. It's okay to talk about differences without offending others, she said. She reflected, "In the first years of my career, I worried about the wrong things. I wasted my time on things I couldn't change. Now I focus on what I can do," which I think is a really nice quote from Rosemary R. Cloud, the first ever Black woman fire chief in the United States. I love that. Rosemary Cloud. Since the beginning of her career, Rosemary Cloud quickly excelled and managed 35 fire stations and 1,030 employees to date. On May 6, 2002, she was made the East Point Fire Chief after serving as Assistant Chief of Fire Operations at Hartsfield Jackson International Airport. Her feats extend far beyond her hometown of Atlanta, as she sat on the White House National Security Council as an appointed subject matter expert on HSPD-8 and recommended revisions to the National Strategy for Homeland Security. In 2010, Chief Cloud was inducted into the International Women in Homeland Security and Emergency Management Hall of Fame and has received other notable awards and honors, including the Millennium Pacesetter Award from the Atlanta Business League, Atlanta's Top 100 Black Women of Influence by the Atlanta Business League, and the Pinnacle Leadership Award from Delta Sigma Theta. The same commitment Cloud has showed in her career is mirrored in her commitment to the community. She mentors local youth through special programs with schools and youth organizations, and she has initiated more than 10 community service public safety programs in East Point. Good for her. And like I said, in 2015, she retired. So she really did a lot to kind of set in motion certain protocols for getting more women, more Black people, you know, into the field of firefighting, would that be what it's called, fighting fires, and just kind of ensuring that there was a legacy left behind after she retired, which is just really, really, really exceptional. So shout outs to Rosemary R. Cloud, a hidden figure. Hopefully you guys had a great Wednesday. Look forward to seeing you guys next week with our next Hidden Figures. See you next time. Peace.